G'day day trading crew, just back here with another video today. Thought I'd just run through all the charts to set us up for the week, given that I'm not working tomorrow or Wednesday, but we'll obviously still be around the charts and whatnot to update you all on any trades we're taking, or any positions I'm currently in, or honest, or obviously any drastic price movements. But thought this would be a good chance just to run through absolutely everything, how I'm seeing everything right now, what I want to see in BTC and some certain alts to trigger some setups. And additionally as well, this week on Thursday, I still want to do a live stream, obviously. So obviously on Thursday, I want all of you to come with as many questions as possible. We'll run through some setups. We'll try and find some trades together that we can all trigger and ride as one. But in saying that, let's get started. I won't talk too much about anything not charts. Let's get into it. So, starting off with the DXY first. Now, let's go on the weekly. Let's get our charts on the daily. But Sunday was absolute hell for in the US for the DXY, or well, somewhat Monday now, but still Sunday there. Um, and you can see we've pretty much put in a negative 1% candle. Yeah, we have on the DXY. I've been sending out the DXY for a long time. What happened was DXY turned really bullish after meeting high time frame support down here. Pretty much traded all the way up to we reached the equilibrium, which is the zero point 0.5 fib, exactly halfway. We retraced half the move, rejected, came back down, caught support, which was obviously support was once resistance, as you can see here, flipped to support. We've been catching the 382 and these wicks up here, essentially bouncing off support. It's kind of almost front run and back tested it one more time, and you can see what's happened. So now that we've lost this support level, which is all these wicks here, that are super important, I want to see here this level seen now. Um, and usually more often than not, for those that don't know, but there is a whole section on this in the course of the DXY, is that there's an inverse correlation between the DXY and commodity and wider stock markets, which includes BTC for the most part. In times like right now, I'd say it's not really applicable, where BTC is kind of trading as its own asset class, separate to the stock markets and wider financial markets. But you'll still see a correlation. So I'm hoping that if we do kind of lose this level here, that we start tumbling down, if the DXY does become bearish but bullish for us, that we see further relief in Bitcoin, but more so the stock markets, which once again we haven't been following too much. The SPX, I drew out this channel, high time frame channel, in my update last week, and I said, the stock market's looking really bearish. Like from our 2023 ATH, which was around July, we came down, negative 10, negative 11%, which is, a large move in the S&P 500. But since, catching the bottom of this high time frame parallel channel, we've bounced as much as 6%. So, the stock markets look really healthy right now. I'll show the Nasdaq quickly. Very similar on the Nasdaq. It's important to note that, on the Nasdaq, it caught the GP, lost it briefly, bounced, and you can see what happens when it bounces from this major support. It came down multiple times, so it's really good we flipped this to support. If we look at the SMAs quickly, the 200 was always sitting under us as support. I thought that's where we'd probably reach on this dip. We front ran it, of course, and now we've got these two as resistance. So if we can flip these two as resistance, there's no saying that, given, whilst macro doesn't look great, it's quite hard to assess right now that that these stock markets can push up to these levels that they were at prior in 2023, particularly if pauses continue and the DXY continues to come down. But that's a quick overlook of the. I will quickly show the SMAs on here, because we've reclaimed the golden pocket on here, but rather than kind of swing failing the golden pocket on the S&P, it was the equilibrium, the zero point 0.5 fib that we bounced from. But we've reclaimed support here on the golden pocket. But we've still got these two above us, and you can see right here that we've got the 50 EMA, so SMA first is resistance that we're trying to claim, and then we've got this, but there's no saying we can't head up further if the markets turn super bullish and the DXY continues to get crunched. But I would look at the two golden pockets as the level of support for these markets if they were to start acting bearish again, and hopefully we can remain nice and healthy, because it does help wider sentiment when these markets are going well. So yeah, let's take a look at Bitcoin now. Bitcoin, obviously, I want to explain my current positions. I tried to fire off a long, obviously late Friday night that you guys know about, This is the weekly chart. But first and foremost, I have a short running from the highs. So I mentioned to everyone that I'll redraw this as opposed to getting it back up, that this was my greatest high time frame bearish idea. It's one of the cleaner parallel channels. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we bring this down to here, so you see how structurally well on the weekly these fibs work, right? Like, so, you know, that marked our top of our first move, equilibrium. GP is marking our second. Even if we pull this from here to here, from our ath to our low, you'll see that the 382, once again, is acting as perfect resistance. You can't get much cleaner than that. So what I decided to do was a swing short, and I told you guys I have targets of 32k, 25k, and 18k. Now, it sounds a bit silly somewhat, but they are my ultimate targets on this swing short. I've already taken profit twice at the 34k level. I'm gonna, if we head back up and we reject here again, I'm most likely going to hedge further and add to my position and compound all the profits I took down here up here and actually add to my swing short, because as I was trying to explain to you guys, it's so important that you understand the psychological reasoning behind why I'm actually placing this short. I hold so much spot. I'm an investor first and foremost, and then a trader. I hold a ton of alts from the bottom. I hold Bitcoin, ETH, all these different assets that I want to be able to use what I've learned and my own education, my own understanding of the market to hedge against my position so that I can be making money either way. Because if I hedge short here and I get stopped out, then you might think, why was he hedging short? It looks so bullish, we're going to pump. I'm completely fine with that because all my spot positions are making me far more money than what it was getting stopped out on a 1% position on a leverage trade. However, if I can accumulate a large, strong swing position, then to me, whilst it's, hang on, we'll get that feedback. Whilst it's a bummer if we can't break out of this range and break out, the 42k level, even attack this 50k level sometime soon, I'm okay with that, because if I can build up a large swing position here and money comes down and the price of Bitcoin comes down, even if we were to reach, say, 25k and retest, our biggest support level, then I'm going to compound all of this money that I'm earning from this entire swing short back into long positions and spot positions down here, ready for the bull market of 2024, 2025. That's how I use my leverage trading. I use it to complement my investing and in order to hedge against my miners, positions, whatever it is. And you guys should really be treating it the same. So as I mentioned, short off the highs up here. My stop loss is around 36.2k, I think I said it was. Yeah, might need to think about adjusting that sometime soon, depending on how PA plays out. But for now, we're not retesting those highs. But as mentioned, if we do, I'll add to those swings. I'll add to that swing position and compound all the profits I've made into it. If I'm stopped out, I'm okay with that. All my alts or even my cash long can carry higher. Hopefully I can get off a few more alt trades this week. It's been a bit of a really hard process with alts, given BTC's moving up, then it's moving down, and then we pump, and then we don't. So I need to take a look at all those charts, which we'll take a look at a few of those soon, because a lot of them on this recent pump from the 34k level up to, I'm not sure how high we went. I think it was about 35.4k yesterday. Got an alert for F. There we go. But alts pushed up, actually pumped better than Bitcoin did, and Bitcoin dominance came down to, we're below 53% now. So you can see that weekly candle on Bitcoin dominance this week. As Bitcoin pumped last week, now alts have been enjoying all the spoils this week. But, now that this is happening, I wouldn't be surprised to see potentially a move down to the 52% level retest before moving higher. Or if we break down, then you'll see further relief in alts. So that's Bitcoin dominance. FBTC still hangs on to this double bottom on this level of support, this kind of cliff it hangs on. I'm unsure what happens for the rest of the year, but if it can kind of hold across here and then, break out towards the end of, next year, so then you're going to get a huge alt season, right? Because everything will follow ETH. But that's the ETH chart, FBTC chart, just for now. But I will quickly, go back to Bitcoin before we move on to ETH and alts. So that's my plans with my swing short. They remain the same. And then obviously, as I've been telling you guys, I have a target and mind you, we've got that bearish reversal in the form of the Gartley as well, that Wyckoff distribution as well, but plenty of bullish scenarios too. So I'm just explaining why technically that short made sense to me. But I did have this long that I was very interested in that I will show now. We won't go to a daily, sorry, we'll go to an hourly. Um, which I've been kind of waiting really patiently for, right? So I made known to you guys that I'd had two main setups that I was waiting for a long time. It was obviously this 32k, which comes from this 382 pivot, a prior May 22 high. We haven't got that yet. Instead, as I've been relaying, I was waiting for here or here, and we got here first, so I swung short. Now I'm looking to hedge long here in case we do eventually break out. So honestly, my ultimate plan is I've taken profit across here, but my ultimate goal here would be if we can range up here, take out the liquidity above here, add to my swing short, take a lot of profit here, and then hopefully it's from there where we bounce from and break out of. And I've taken so much profit over compounding into my swing short here. I take a lot of it here, and then we can head back up and begin to break out because it's really weird on these moves and kind of frustrating when like the only dips we've really had besides, once I was letting structure kind of play out is we came up here and then we've just been kind of consolidating and ranging, right? It hasn't been like this as such, which is what you ultimately want with that type of volatility. But yeah, demand seemingly just keeps getting eaten up across the board here. Um, you can see how well it holds this POC and trend line. So it's something to keep an eye out for. It would have been awesome to trigger a trade there, but price honestly did that in, that was a 5 minute candle type of deal. But so I'm still looking for that long. I'm going to assess the chart today and consider whether I'm willing to fire off another long here that I was stopped out on, that I TP'd on my short to mitigate any of that loss. So it was kind of a free hit somewhat, but I do have less size on my short now. But that's ultimately what I'm looking for. Those two levels, anything under that is major to me. 30k is the psychological level as well as 28k. I will say on the weekly, if we do break down and this move becomes ultimately bearish and we do kind of, you know, abide by this ascending parallel structure, is that just as I was playing around before, I did note that there was an interesting level that BTC does like to play with the equilibriums a fair bit and retrace 50% moves. But if I draw a fib from our low to our kind of current high, there's two important levels that kind of align with psychological and horizontal levels that are super important. So you've got 28k that represents, you know, all of these kind of in this area. You can see how much of a support and resistance flip it's kind of acted like. And 25.8k, if you go to the weekly, and you draw this pretty accurately, you can see how much this has acted as a support level on the weekly with the weekly candles, perfectly opening on it and bouncing upwards. So I wouldn't mind, well, I would mind, I wouldn't like to see us, come back down to 25k, but if we do just kind of range for the rest of the year, these could be two levels of interest to me if this ascending parallel structure is true and holds very firmly. So something to keep your eye out for, sorry. They're two levels that would interest me if this structure kind of price abides by this structure. Um, But once again, they're the two. I'm looking to compound into my short at the highs, and I'm looking to long off 32.4k, or if we break down, lower, of course. Just with CAS, we'll quickly go over that. I was patiently riding out CAS for a long time there, after TPing only once and just saying, I'm just going to hold my cash trade until I've taken a lot of profit here. Now I'm just doing the sensible thing. And I'm just holding a moon bag for further breakout now, so that's good to hold and one to watch. But just abiding by risk management here. I was entered in this trade a month ago, so it's a long hold. We've claimed each support level. I've mapped out these golden pockets. Look how well it structurally comes by. Now we've put in a new ath of 67 cents, so I'll just be holding a little moon bag of that for now. I've closed off a majority of it. A 50% move in a coin, you don't get often. So to those that traded it, awesome. But I'm pretty much out of that one now. Just letting the rest ride. I'll keep you updated on it. Interestingly enough, as I mentioned, ARB is at a level of interest to me because it's at this major pivot golden pocket. Now this happened obviously on Saturday and Sunday. I was out of action. I wasn't trading. But this would have made a really good hedge short against long positions. Literally, touched 2 days ago. Sorry, yesterday, the golden pocket, we back tested on the same daily candle. So if you go to like a 30-minute, you'll see we came up, beautifully back tested and crashed. So I'm going to set alarms around here, and it might be an idea of a swing short, or even, well, even, let's get rid of that. That's a bit ugly. So even if we came back up and we probably back tested it one more time, I'd probably trade that short. And then you've also got on the contrary, if the market looks really healthy and ARB is approaching that level as Bitcoin or ETH is seeking to break out, you could almost break out trade it, right, to almost that next level because there's not too much structure. Besides these daily candle highs, which none have been swept, this level up here looks the most interesting. It's almost like a magnet, isn't it? That we can get there. So yeah, interesting times of ARB. F was the same, man. F is that golden pocket I was speaking of that, I drew that ages ago that we reject from. But if we can kind of clear that on F, that 2030 level looks like a magnet to me as well. So I will be watching F closely, and I do have a lot of alarms set around here. But if the market does look weak and we're not showing too much strength, if we come back to this golden pocket area and we come back down, I may trade that as a swing short. But watching it closely. But yeah. One other one that I can't even trade on MEXC, which is really, really frustrating. But PYR, it's at that level of interest for me. I used to be able to trade it on BitGet, but we're kind of swing failing this high up here. Um, and I do want to kind of short it, but I can't. But there's an idea there that you can probably take and run with. But that's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to clarify just my position on BTC, what I'm looking for. Just a reminder that adding to my swing short and compounding my profits into that in case the market does head south. But ultimately looking for a breakout there for my spot positions, miners, and amongst everything else. We obviously want to see the market go well. Alts are levels of swing short positions which are possible. They can obviously break out. Some alts are acting very differently to each other right now. But I'm a huge holder of ARB in spot, so happy to fire off one on ARB if it presents there, and same as F. But ultimately, what I'll be doing from here on now, I've got a fair bit of time for the rest of the days. I'm going to identify more alts we can trade. Obviously, I'll be not at the PC too much tomorrow and the day after, but Thursday for our live stream, love to get a huge amount of ideas out for us all, and all be kind of on the same page as one another for all the markets. So that'll be it for my recording. Sorry, it's 17 minutes. Just wanted to run over everything and hope it all made sense. And yeah, we'll speak soon. Thanks, guys.